Alrighty, but everybody, what's up? It is time for Bleach, 631.
And
Uh,
what is this? We're doing it together?
what devilry is this?
Yes. What devilry is this? So, yes, you haven't come to the wrong channel. We still do videos together.
Yeah, we do.
It's just been a while.
Yeah, it's been some time.
But life. What are you gonna do?
hmm So yeah, anyway, this chapter, obviously, as we know, mostly focused on, of course, Haschwald and Bazz-B, which is, I thought it was an interesting chapter in its own right, I guess.
Mm, Yeah, but I mean, like, dude, do we really need to have yet another manga series have a flashback chapter? Or should I
Um,
say a chapter that had flashbacks in it?
I think, honestly, this chapter, with this flashback in particular, although it wasn't like that exciting, it it did give us like a really interesting like perspective where all of a sudden the guy who is the most devoted could end up being also a
Another
traitor,
Geen? Another Geen?
pretty much.
Which people are like, oh, we don't do we really is he really like they're dreading the fact that he might end up being another Geen.
Right.
And be like, oh, he's just gonna portray Bach, and I'm like, really? He was became joined up with Bach just so he can gain his trust and then turn around and kill him. Like, really? And if he
hmm
was gonna do that, you're seriously waited. Seriously haven't even attempted yet. Like, I mean, then again, Geen didn't turn on Aizen until he transformed. And I'm like, really? You waited that long to turn on him?
right.
Like, these people need to know that once you learn that they have their grandiose plan, you shouldn't sit there and wait, and you should stop them before they get too far, or else they'll be out of your reach. And we all know what happened to Geen when he waited too long to get his revenge.
Yeah.
So it looks like if Haschwald is still planning on getting revenge, he's going to end the same way. However, so far that might not necessarily be the case with Haschwald, at least.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole new perspective to Haschwald that wasn't with Geen. Like the fact that he freaking gets Yuha Box powers at night. Like
Uh huh.
that could be like a next villain type of shit right there.
Yeah, but I mean, that would mean that they would have to like. Cause then that honestly, that would just be like, okay, so he gets what Yuhabak's Quincy powers? Because there's no way he would then immediately get all the sulking powers himself. Because that would be too OP. And then it's like, well, but then if that happens, it's like, well, okay, instead of fighting Bach, you're going to be fighting Haschwald. It's like, it's like, honestly, I feel like it would be a cop out, like the end of Naruto. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you thought you were gonna get on that final awesome fight with Madara, but no, this other villain just pops out of nowhere. I mean, obviously it's already established that Haschwald gets box powers at night, but it's like, really, you're gonna just sit there and just try and like, oh, well, Haschwald's gonna be the one with all the power, and he's gonna be the one to take on Ichigo and everybody, and then he's gonna be the one that gets defeated, not Yuha. And then Yuha Bach's not gonna have any powers since they defeat Haschwald. There's not gonna be any powers left to return to Yuha, and then Yuha becomes, you know, not a threat anymore.
Right.
So it's like, really, are they really gonna try and set up something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be more complicated than that, but
Or they
it's
can do something that would we the other thing that we could easily see coming a mile away, which is Hashval, who if even it gets who also not only gets Yuha Bak's Quincy powers, but gets his Soul King powers, fights the group, and because he's not you know he's not as good with the powers, they are somehow managed to get overcome him. But before they deal the final blow, morning comes and Yuha Bak, the more experienced man, gets the powers back, and they're like all screwed because they're tired from fighting Haschwald,
Uh-huh.
which is something I could see easily being the other, thing they do is like, oh, we got to defeat him before, Yuha gets his powers back. But oh, just a little late. They would
Hmm.
have, they killed Haschwald, but just a few seconds too late.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a thing. I mean, there's a lot of different things that could happen with Haschwald, which is why I think the flashback, I mean, it can set up for some bad stuff, but at the same time, it also adds another layer to at least the Quincy's and
Yeah,
the whole relationship thing.
but I mean, honestly, one of the more interesting points of the flashback was it, Haschwald's uncle, because it's like, oh, conveniently, the nickname that Bazz-B gave him is the name that his uncle calls him by, which is why he was like, "Oh, you don't need to know," because he was already calling him it.
Right.
But and he doesn't like that name because it's related to the pain that his uncle was obviously causing him.
Hmm.
So the only question remains is who was he? Because it's pointless to reveal an abusive uncle, an obviously abusive uncle, and then not show him, especially in the way they did, which made him seem important.
Right.
Like he might, I mean, then again, he could just be simply like, oh, you know, the hit you, because it was said that he was killed in the fire by Yuha. So it's like, oh well, so pretty much Haschwald shouldn't have at this point. Actually, in fact, Haschwald doesn't have a reason to kill Bach because if his uncle was as abusive as he was implied to be, he should be thanking Yuha.
Hmm.
So that's where the rift between him and Bazz-B probably started, and when it comes to Yuha.
Right.
Now, as to why, yes, I can understand why he would be grateful to Yuha, but I still don't understand yet what would make him become like his ultimate fanboy like loyalty. You know, there has to be something else he does for him
Uh-huh.
that we will hopefully see in the future.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I think they're gonna, because I think the whole thing about the origin of the Stern Ritter will now be revealed. I think they're gonna start to like really like put some weight behind the Quincy instead of just, well, here are the Quincy. Oh, there they go. At least understand where they're coming from, maybe. Um,
well, I mean, yeah, but at the same point, you got to remember that this supposedly was all started based on what the Soul Society did to the Quincy over 1,000 years ago.
hmm.
That was supposedly the reasoning behind this whole war. And now it's, ever since Yuha got into the Soul Palace, it's like, who cares anymore about what the Soul Society did to the Quincy 1,000 years ago? It's like hasn't even been brought up since God knows how long. So
Right.
it's like, is this really about getting revenge on the Soul Society, or is this just a power grab?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see because there's gonna be more to this story, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, this is going to be more so about not why Yuha is trying to take the Soul Society. It's more going to be about why all these Quincy's follow Yuha.
Right, but he may give his reasoning as a result in order to get them to follow.
Yeah, but his reasoning from what he said before was supposedly to get revenge for the massacre of the Quincy's 1,000 years ago, but it seems more like a power grab. So yeah, he could say rally them behind a battle cry of us saying, oh, we need to get revenge for what the Soul Society did to the Quincy 1,000 years ago. But you know, it, it's there. He's obvious. It just seems that he's been playing them this whole time. that he's been just trying to he accumulated an army so he can crush the Soul Society and get the power, not so he can get revenge, but to get power.
Well, he does want revenge.
Yeah, but I mean, revenge is not his first thought. I mean, his first and foremost goal is to get power, or at least that's the way it seems.
Well, yeah, I mean that's his end game, but
But revenge could have he achieved his revenge when he, decimated the Soul Society. He didn't. His revenge doesn't necessarily have to involve going to the Soul Palace and killing the Soul King.
right.
I mean, okay, it's. I mean, I guess you could say it kind of sort of is because the Soul King could also be held responsible. But why steal his power if you don't? If all you're doing is killing him?
Well,
If
I
all
mean, they can be two separate motives. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah, but I mean, it just feels more like he's focused on the power than the revenge, because the whole idea of getting revenge has been brought up in a while.
Yeah, I think that was just more so implied at this point, because he got it. I mean, pretty much got it. So now he's on to his end game at this point. So,
Yeah,
selfish bastard that he is.
but I guess the other thing that it's going to be interesting to learn the history of the Stern Raiders is where the hell all these Quincy's were hiding. Because that was the whole surprise of this arc, was that you thought Uyu and his dad were one of the last Quincy's.
Hmm.
And you find out, oh, there's this thousands of them just hiding, waiting for their moment to strike.
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting. But overall, this chapter I thought it was pretty good. It got some decent information, and so that's what my rating on the chapter.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it wasn't wonderful, but it was decent. So yeah.